I hit the wrong button.
What?
I think you have to allow.
No, Inca. Do not feed the alligators.
You can barely tell that's water down there.
Can you go?
Jay, you can get out and walk over there.
Can you drive with them?
No.
Oh, so the Confederates tried to get it by waterway and they couldn't. They had to come back and do it by land. Try to get it by land. capture the salt mines.
Like 1800s,
I'd already pushed
schooners
it,
used the bayou to transport salt and sugar from the island to ports as far away as New York. In 1862, Union gunboats steamed up the bayou to attack Avery Island in hopes of seizing the salt mine. This attack was unsuccessful, but Union troops did capture Avery Island by land 6 months later. E.A. McElhinney learned that smooth cordgrass had the remarkable ability to prevent erosion. When he introduced the grass to our area, it proved its ability to regenerate our marshland. Smooth cordgrass, which is salt resistant, is planted at the water's edge and out into the water, where it traps the sediment over time and extends our marshland. Today, students from Louisiana's 4-H clubs across the state help plant smooth cordgrass every summer to continue reclaiming marshland near Avery Island. These summer coastal restoration programs restore, on average, 18 acres of marshland each year. Avery Island also incorporates periodic controlled marsh burning, a conservation practice that improves the quality of the marsh vegetation. This is usually done in the fall or winter.
This is some minnows, Joe.
Gators.
Automatically plays when you get to the next
Yeah,
point.
I think so.
I would hope so.
In the early 20th century, E.A. McElhinney became friends with Charles Willis Ward, a horticulturist that ran a nursery business in New York and was also a wildlife conservationist. Ward spent so many winters on Avery Island as McElhinney Ward's 75-foot yacht, the Ethel M. Ward. Together, Ward and McElhenney made a lasting impact on Louisiana conservation when they purchased 54,000 acres of marshland southwest of Avery Island as a waterfowl refuge. In 1911, Ward and McElhenney gave 13,000 acres of this land to the state of Louisiana. That refuge still exists today
Camp here, too.
and is known as State Wildlife
Oh, wow.
Refuge. Up the hill from the boathouse, you can spot the remains of an old stairwell where Ward set up large living and cooking tents. Eventually, the tents acquired a roof and walls, resulting in a house with an unusual layout. After Mr. Ward quit coming to the island due to health issues, one of E.A. McElhenney's daughters lived in the house with her husband for a few years in the 1920s. Several years later, the house burned down due to faulty wiring, and all that remains is the lovely staircase and a camellia garden where the house once stood.
Staircase. Be one hell of a piece of land that live on. I saw a flap his wing caught my eye at the port.
E.A. McElhenney designed these man-made lagoons after the water gardens of Venice, Italy. Unfortunately, he never finished the project, so the pond and banks remain undeveloped, as they were in McElhenney's lifetime. It's a good location, however, for spotting alligators. A small grove of rare bamboo can be seen at the far end of the Venetian gardens. Visitors can walk right inside this hut-like grove of putting pole bamboo and experience the grove from its interior.
Catfish jump.
Mm-mm.
They're still jumping.
Oh, wow.
They're jumping there.
Oh, wow. That must be a carp. Flying carp.
Probably. When the noise, see how when we pass by they start jumping? When we first start. So when a boat engine goes by they start jumping. So this is gonna be like Italy. What's wrong with that? Come on, you want to
show up in a minute. Yes, he should.
To
Is he
me,
still there?
but yeah, he's definitely alive.
Back up so I can see him. Please.
Got a mouth open. You can try to catch him.
You have to go out there and wrestle him. He must have disturbed his nap time.
Mm-hmm. And how deep that is.
Probably 3 or 4 feet. Which direction do we go?
Hmm?
Which direction do we go?
The only way you want.
Up ahead on your left stands the Cleveland Oak. The oak earned its name when U.S. President Grover Cleveland visited Avery Island in 1892. It was between his non-consecutive first and second term as president. The story the McElhinney family tells is that Grover Cleveland was so impressed with this live oak that he hugged the tree during his visit. And so, in his honor, they've named the tree after him. The Cleveland Oak of Avery Island is almost 25 feet in circumference and over 300 years old, making it one of the largest oaks on the island, possibly the largest. President Cleveland was a close friend of the famous actor Joe Jefferson, who owned nearby Jefferson Island, another coastal salt dome. The path beyond Cleveland Oak leads to the survey tree, where you can read more about the surveying of Avery Island in 1810. The survey tree is one of the oldest surviving witness trees in Louisiana.
At this stop, we encourage you to park your car and get out to explore the site more.
Gnats. Holly trees. Holly. Squirrel.
Edward Avery McElhinney planted this hedgerow of prickly hollies you see here in the 1920s. During his lifetime, he acquired a number of holly varieties for planting and study on Avery Island. From those, he selected and propagated many well-known cultivars still available today in the nursery trade. By 1930, McElhinney marketed one variety of holly that, unlike others, produced yellow berries instead of the usual red. Many of these holly cultivars from the island were introduced after McElhinney's death through the Ira Nelson Horticultural Center at the nearby University of Louisiana at Lafayette. will see parking where you can stop your car and walk to the Buddha temple. According to McElhinney family tradition, the Buddha temple and its surrounding gardens began in the early 20th century as a Japanese-style tea garden, complete with a bamboo tea house. In 1936, two Wall Street financiers sent their friend E.A. McElhinney a gold-leaf Buddha statue that they had purchased at auction in New York City. A rebel Chinese general supposedly looted the statue from a temple near Beijing. To raise money for his troops, he sent the statue to New York City for auction. But before the auction could occur, however, the general was captured and executed. As a result, the statue sat unclaimed in a Manhattan warehouse until the summer of 1936, when McElhinney's two friends bought it. The statue arrived on Avery Island by rail in June 1936. McElhinney discarded the Japanese tea garden and in its place built a temple in a bamboo motif. Inside the temple, he placed the statue on a new lotus blossom pedestal. 7 hills were constructed around the temple and its reflecting pond, and they were landscaped with Asian plants. Today, the Buddha serves as a primary focal point of jungle gardens and an active place of worship for local Buddhists. Although centuries old, the Buddha statue remains in stable condition, although it has lost an ear over the years, as well as much of its gold leaf surface, allegedly because someone once cleaned the statue using a scouring pad and too much enthusiasm.
At this stop, we encourage you to park your car and get out to explore the site more.
Here you will see the Wisteria Arch. Native to Japan and China, wisteria was first introduced to New Orleans around 1875. E.A. McElhinney's vision for this wisteria arch highlighted the many shades of wisteria blooms, from white to lavender to purple. McElhinney designed the arch to gradually shift in color from one end to the other.
You want to go see the birds?
Several of these wisteria vines are original to the arch and extremely old. At one time, the arch was 100 yards longer than it is today, as shown by the structural remains still visible along the road outside the present-day arch.
I love all the big trees, big old trees.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Just ahead to your right, you will see parking for the Palm Garden site, where you can pull in and explore. This site was once an old sand mine pit that McElhinney created from an arid gully. At first, he used it to house his garden of native cactus from South Louisiana's coastal cheniers, which are sandy coastal ridges covered with oaks. Over time, the cactus disappeared, and the garden evolved into what remains today. Several types of sago palms, windmill palms, and jelly palms grow here, as well as Asian tongue oil trees, ferns, and exotic bamboos.
At this stop, we encourage you to park your car and get out to explore the site more.
I love how he touched the ground.
He's an oak.
I don't know. Probably.
On the upcoming Willow Pond stands the oldest man-made feature of jungle gardens, consisting of long bamboo structures known as rookeries, where egrets nest from February to August each year. This is Bird City, a private waterfowl refuge founded by E.A. McElhinney around 1895. McElhinney created this refuge after noticing a dramatic decline in the nation's snowy egret population. This decline occurred because plume hunters had killed most of the egrets for their wispy white feathers, which milliners used to adorn women's hats. At that time, an ounce of egret feathers sold for twice the price of gold.
At this stop, we encourage you to park your car and get out to explore the site more.
Where's it at? The man-made thing.
I don't know.
Probably down there. Gotcha.
If you look toward the nearby hilltop, you'll see E.A. McElhinney's three-story home, which he called Mayward Hill. McElhinney created the name Mayward by combining his wife's first name, Mary, with his own first name, Edward. Built around 1900, the original Mayward Hill residence burned down in 1924. McElhinney then constructed this replacement home, which was kept in continuous use by McElhinney's family until 1980. It then remained empty for nearly 4 decades before a McElhinney descendant began its restoration. The house sits on private property, so please don't cross the fence separating the house grounds from the public section of Jungle Garden.
Nice sign.
Yay, we get to turn around and go back and go through the rest of it.
Good fun? You enjoyed it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice ride.
Yes, it is.
Who lives up yonder? go that way?
Very specific.
Huh? It does say well more. Yeah.
To your right is the Sunken Gardens. In its day, this garden was an engineering marvel. During the frequent rains here along the Louisiana coast, water runs off of the hills of Avery Island with enough volume and speed to erode the relatively thin layer of topsoil. Sunken Gardens represents McElhenney's attempt to stop the erosion by slowing the rush of rainwaters during heavy rain events, and to create a quiet garden in the process. The Sunken Gardens contains rare palms, ferns, and other exotic plants from Asia. From here it's a short walk to Jungle Gardens' original old nursery, where you can see rows and rows of century-old camellias.
At this stop, we encourage you to park your car and get out to explore the site more.
To your right is the old nursery, a wholesale nursery named Jungle Gardens Incorporated that operated during the early 1900s till around 1950. This nursery business specialized in camellias, hollies, and bamboos, and took on numerous landscaping projects, including those for the old and new state capitol buildings in Baton Rouge. The nursery also provided plans for big projects, such as LSU's main campus, City Park in New Orleans, and the Bayou Bend Estates in Houston. In New Orleans City Park, he even replicated the bridge from his Buddha temple garden. A stroll through this area and the adjacent woodlands reveals that many of the historical plants that remain are still thriving in near perfect rows, even as the nursery itself did generations ago. Notice the thick bamboo grove on the right side of the road. E.A. McElhenney believed that bamboo could be developed into a valuable commodity as a food and building material, and it would thrive in Avery Island's climate. Intending to start a bamboo timber industry in Louisiana, McElhenney acquired bamboo from the USDA's experimental growers catalog. It's estimated by explorers, he wrote, that more than 150 million people of the countries in Asia bordering the Pacific Ocean live in houses built entirely of bamboo. McElhenney eventually planted more than 60 varieties in and around Jungle Gardens. He became the United States' only commercial bamboo grower and went on to become the country's most successful experimental bamboo grower. Today, enthusiasts have revived EA's views about the usefulness and sustainability of bamboo and regard Avery Island as one of the world's most extensive bamboo collections. In fact, Avery Island contains the largest grove of giant timber bamboo outside of China. Bamboo is not a tree, but a grass, and is a viable replacement for wood. You can actually hear bamboo growing, and some varieties have been reported to grow as much as 40 plus inches a day. Bamboo can be harvested out. Camellias are native to Eastern and Southern Asia. They became very popular in Europe in the mid-1800s, and gardeners in South Louisiana began importing them to improve their own gardens. Admired by celebrities and aristocrats, many were considered essential for sheep gardens of the time. Although the Civil War put an end to such extravagant gardening, many camellias introduced during the antebellum period continue to thrive. E.A. McElhenney took a special interest in these beautiful plants around 1900
Nothing's in
and began
blossom right
collecting them
now.
for jungle
Huh?
gardens.
Nothing's in blossom right now.
In the
It's in bloom.
1930s, McElhenney translated and published literature that would help standardize the system used to classify camellias. Besides increasing his collection through purchase, he used grafting and root cuttings, and also grew thousands of camellias from seeds. If he thought a particular variety proved worthy, he added it to the garden's nursery catalog. By 1941, he had collected over 700 varieties of camellias to grow in jungle gardens, at least 18 of which he himself originated. Several of these varieties, such as Louisiana Avery and Virgin's Blush, are still admired today. Some of the camellias you see here in jungle gardens are over 25 foot tall. Some were even grafted by McElhenney himself. So it's not uncommon to see 3, 4, or even 5 different camellia flowers growing on one plant. We may never know with certainty the names of some of the camellias growing here, particularly those growing in areas that were E.A. McElhenney's nursery, where he experimented with new varieties. These camellias were often grown from seedlings, did not resemble the original parent plant, and were often left unnamed. Named or unnamed, they are among the most beautiful flowers on Avery Island. This concludes your audio tour of Jungle Gardens. Thank you for visiting. Remember, we offer a guided birding tour, a guided botanical tour, and a guided historical tour of the gardens with our trained biologists.